The map represents a horizontal cut through the galleries. The entrance is found at most left. It's a maze-type cave because of the many circles inside. The straight line of the cave is 3 kilometers, but the summary of every section is 13.5. It's the third long cave in Bulgaria. The temperature is 14 degrees Celsius. Even though the temperature is very high, it's felt cold because of the high percentage of humidity, about 85%. And in places it's mist inside the cave. When you make photos, consider checking the quality. Sometimes they get blurred. You can do them freely, and because the clothes get wet and the hair becomes curly, it gets cold. It's horizontal inside, doesn't have stairs. The galleries are primarily big and it's very dry on the floor. Inside will be 30 minutes. We have to come back from the same place. When we enter, I will lock the door here. If any problem appear, tell me. On the map, we go around this triangle here. The distance is about 300 meters. Mind your head here, it gets much bigger inside. We gather the first gallery. I'm the last one. You are welcome.
Se descurcă în întuneric.
Se descurcă, da,
N-are claustrofobie.
Nu, am mai fost și la voi.
You don't have phobia, right?
No. Let's check.
That's the humidity. The humidity is excellent for inhalation therapy, especially if one is smoking. It breaks like very quickly. So enjoy your stay. 54 meters is the denivellation. The cave expands northeast, right underneath the fields. The cave is found in a limestone bedrock, and that's why it's so white. The floor is of clay. The clay represents a sediment which was brought here via water during flooding. Underneath that layer, there are other layers of sediment stacked up on top of another, different kinds, different thickness. The cave was flooded many times in the past, and the water brought sediments each time, which began filling the cave up. Effectively, the galleries were getting smaller until the point where only the ceiling of the cave was left, and we'll be walking only by the ceiling. Those are the apexes. With excavations, 8 meters were reached, but the clay continued further. Because bottom wasn't reached with excavation, another rough measurement was made, but consider it as a minimum, which is 2/3 of the cave from underneath being filled up with sediments, and 1/3 above is the air. It's like a resizing by which the cave goes down underneath the level of the river which flows outside right now. It used to be massive, but no longer is. The cave has a very unusual appearance. The cave looks more like an art made by Gaudi himself than like a cave. It's very oval, smooth and soft. The reason for the cave to be that way was the more aggressive water which made all this. It's about water under pressure in a concealed space without any air pockets, with high velocity, temperature, and a lot of abrasive like rocks, sand. These things together manage to polish the surfaces so well. On places it's like manually polished, it's very oval, it looks artificial like. The primary direction of the water was upwards, and the cave as a structure began forming from its lowest point up to its highest point. It was becoming taller. Exactly the same principle like in speleology, but upside down. The last thing which was made is the ceiling in the case here. The foundation of this cave are the fissures of the limestone. They existed here before the cave did, and that water entered through them, penetrated them, began expanding them, and connected them. As a result, through them, it managed to create the whole cave. They are the foundation. Every gallery has a main fissure visible on the ceiling, mostly on the apex. That hole, for example, was made through the fissure over there. If we make a full cut, it will continue further underneath us and to the surface as well. It goes through the whole mass of bedrock. The same counts for most of them. Did you look up at the ceilings? The ceiling of the cave is poked. Any shape in a circle that you can think of can be found in the cave for sure. They can be any varieties. Each circle represents a vortex, and all of them were going off at the same time. There was a constant inflow, but the space around wasn't enough, and that resulted the water to become spinning, like a hydraulic press effect happened. Some of these circles, furthermore, were expanded to the surface and chimneys were made. The higher they go, the more narrow they become. Right now they are sealed from the top by the people for safety. The official statement what created the cave is the sea, Sarmatian Sea. But alongside it there are also other explanations like the river outside, a Cherny Łom for the creation, even a geothermal spring. because the signs of volcanic activity in the cave are everywhere. Have that in mind. Of course, the cave has secondary formations, but not so much. Most of the galleries are empty. During the time they can oxidate or weather from the atmosphere, they also gather up sediments powderly, and from this they get a little darker and yellowish. The newer layers though are white and glitter. That's a calcite mixed with silicon dioxide. Of course, they also have other additives. They aren't pure. Because of these additives, they react with ultraviolet light. They are at the same time fluorescent and phosphorescent. They glow in blue. They absorb it and charge themselves. Then they release it back slowly in a visible green color. That's the phosphorescent effect. On places the color is more intense and glows back for a longer time. The best way to see this is without the main lights. The good thing is that it's not radioactive. The gamma levels in the cave are 0. The only radiation here is the radon gas, which is primary alpha, and we won't start to glow in the dark from it. It's not like radium, for example. The calcite is also translucent, I think, like only the light passes, yeah, partially. But it's required for the surfaces to be clean. The formations were broken, and the walls were also scratched upon, but I guess you noticed already. Vandalism. Let's go on the other side. The only sections where you can see irregular surfaces of the rock are the places from which the ceiling collapsed. For example, the section here, but usually they are obvious. Since the cave was discovered at 1941, there were no collapses even during earthquakes. These are past ones which were pushed aside later by the people for space. This includes the biggest earthquake in the peninsula at Vrancea, Romania, at 1977. At late night, 4th of March, about 9 p.m. In the cave there was an expedition going on, and the people witnessed the earthquake here. It was felt very strong, very loud, and even warm. The friction from the shaking heated up the atmosphere. People felt heat coming from inside, but nothing collapsed, no casualties. That in front of us is the boulevard. It's like 110 meters long. The shape of the gallery here is visible very well in depth. It's very symmetrical. The symmetry comes from the waves on the walls. There is like equal space in between one another. The waves also extend up and continue on the whole ceiling, and from them the gallery gets curly. They have a little diagonal lean to the hole because that was the direction of the water. The water was looking for the highest points. There was the soaking process happening, so it could leave the cave to the surface the fastest way possible, which is a little unusual behavior of the water. There are sections where nobody has stepped and the original appearance of the clay got preserved. Have you visited mud volcanoes before?
Yes.
Yes.
Buzău?
Yes.
It's exactly the same. The clay is oily, sticky, plastic, grainy, and spongeous. The bluish color on top is iron, but not oxidated iron. Everywhere on the ceiling in the fissures, rust can be seen. The river used to be flowing through an iron ore somewhere in the region at the same time while it was going through the cave. On places, horizontal flows can also be seen, but they didn't manage to make a step aside on the wall, just colored the rock. That coloring is a sinter. The composition of it is dependent on the mineralization of the water. It has exactly the same ability like I showed you with the formations. That thing was actually inside the water. Because the limestone is a spongeous rock, it absorbed this mineralization. You can see the effect pale. The sinter glow much more intense. It's like a light show.
Yeah.
The ultraviolet also show limestones with a different structure which glow orange, on places reddish. These are the fossils. The larger ones, like carapaces, are visible with the naked eye. The smaller ones are nearly invisible. You see?
Yeah.
The only way to know it is to know it preliminary.
Yeah, of course. This is, yeah?
Yeah, it's very difficult to find it.
Yeah.
Considering that people scratch the walls, and it's even difficult because of this. The sinter can appear like a coloring, layering, even crusts. It stacks up the same way like the limestone stacks up inside the water pipes, very similarly. Since we entered in the cave, did you felt an aroma in the air and also at the entrance before we entered the cave? What's your sense of smell?
For me, it's like vanilla. I don't know if it's a perfume or not. Because
The air carries ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, the radon I mentioned, which usually doesn't have a smell, iodine, and I hope I'm wrong, cyanide.
you're wrong too. But I believe you, only you are not.
Like a little sweet smell of
This
almonds.
is what I
Yeah.
feel the most, the sweet.
I know that cyanide has also a state of a gas, which is between cyanide and hydrogen cyanide. Here is one of the places where we can hear what's the structure of the limestone. Spongeous rock, like a sponge.
One more time.
E golo não, bro?
Spongios.
Ca o tobă. Dar nu toate.
You can try for yourself.
Și ăla nu?
It's rough. They're made by the coal acid, which is brought by the rain from outside. After they are made, they begin to function as reservoirs for the rainwater. The bats also use them as a source of water. They aren't forced to exit the cave to look for a source of water. Instead, they drink the water from the ceiling, where it drips primarily from the formations. But most of them dried up. I recommend the first gallery at left. can see a rust here.
Yeah.
Something like iron mixed with clay, like an alloy. The last section has a small condition. The ceiling is a little lower. In front where is the projector, the gallery turns at right hand side. We'll fold in half 3 times in a row. We exit from here. Everybody capable? Haide! We came back at the beginning. Da. That was also our tour.
Thank you.
My pleasure.